Hello Year 4, welcome back to day 3. I'm going to start off just going through the answers from yesterday. Okay, so question 1, you had to mark any 2 angles on each of the following objects. Okay, so on the objects there are more than 2 angles, okay, most of the time. So I'm just going to label 2 angles, but obviously that may be different from the angles that you've identified. Okay, so I've got one there. One there, slightly smaller one there, on the window frame, okay, got one in the corner, one down the bottom, okay, and then I could do that with a table and ladder, okay, but remember that it doesn't have to be the ones that I've identified. Question number 2, okay, hopefully you noticed, okay, that the number of sides and the number of angles are the same, okay, so a 4-sided shape has 4 angles. 6-sided shape has 6 angles. Okay, so therefore, if I think of a 3-sided shape, already I know it's going to have 3 angles. Okay, so hopefully you notice that. Okay, today we are going to be identifying angles, including right angles. Okay, so I'm going to be introducing some different terminology for you today. Okay, but an example of a right angle, if I use my angles, okay, is one like this. Okay, one that looks like an L shape. Okay, and there are 2 things that you can use, okay, to help check if an angle is a right angle. Okay, one of those is just using a ruler. Okay, I can use the edge of the ruler, okay, and place it up. If the ruler fits in nice and snug, okay, it would show me that it is a right angle. Okay, whereas if my angle was, say, oh, let's go maybe slightly bigger, okay, if I put the ruler on, okay, nice and straight, actually that's a bit bigger, okay, it doesn't fit in nice and snug, okay, so that's actually bigger than a right angle, okay, so you can use a ruler to check, okay, or if you don't have access to a ruler, you can just use a piece of paper, okay, so I've got a piece of scrap paper here, but I'm just folding up a little bit smaller, okay, I've already marked on a right angle symbol, okay, and once again, just like with the ruler, if I place it up nice and snug, okay, then that shows me that it's a right angle, okay? Whereas once again, if the angle was, say, slightly smaller this time, okay, if I try and put in my piece of paper, it's not quite fitting. It's a bit like a jigsaw, really, okay? So a right angle, okay, is when the 2 lines meet at a point, okay, a bit like an L shape, okay? So, we have seen these types of angles this week, okay, but I haven't necessarily used the correct names for them, okay, so I'm going to go through that now. So, right angle, we've just discussed, okay, and to double check that it's a right angle, I could use my ruler, okay, so I place that in, it's nice and snug, okay, or my bit of paper, okay, just to prove that it is a right angle, okay. This one, okay, we can quite clearly see is smaller than a right angle, okay. The name for this type of angle, okay, is an acute angle, okay. So an angle that is smaller than a right angle, okay, so any angle, so if I've got my right angle, any angle that is smaller than a right angle, okay, is called an acute angle, okay. And the way that I remember that, people have different ways, okay, the way that I remember it is it's got cute in it, okay. And if I think of something cute, it's normally a tiny puppy or a kitten or something, so something small. So if I think of an acute angle, I think of something small, okay. This angle, which is obviously bigger than a right angle, okay, is called an obtuse angle, okay. So any angle that is bigger than a right angle, okay, so any angle that is bigger than a right angle up into a straight line, okay, that is called an obtuse angle, okay. So those are 3 piece of vocabulary that you will need to learn and refer back to this week, okay. So acute, right angle and obtuse, okay. So if we have a look at a square, Okay, if I think of, well, we already know from earlier that because it's a four-sided shape, there are 4 angles, okay. I'm going to try and identify which types of angles, okay, a square has, okay. So does it have acute angles, right angles, or obtuse angles, okay? And I'm going to use my piece of paper, okay, because I have a feeling that it might be a right angle, okay? So I'm going to use my piece of paper, and actually, oh, my square is a bit smaller than my bit of paper, okay, fits in nice and snug, okay? So actually, I could say that a square not only has 4 angles, okay, it actually has 4 right angles, okay? Right. Now it is your turn to see if you can identify the different types of angles. I've got for you 3 different shapes, okay. What I'd like you to do is in a moment pause the video, okay. How many right angles can you find in each shape, okay? And as a bit of an extra challenge if you'd like, okay, if you can't find any right angles, can you find any acute angles or any obtuse angles? So pause the video. Okay, right, let's see how you got on. I've just marked on the angles, okay, so that we can count them up together, okay? So looking at my 3 angles here, because it's a 3-sided shape, okay, I've got 2 acute angles, okay, so 2 angles that are smaller than a right angle, okay, and then this angle here, which is an obtuse angle, okay, meaning that I've got no right angles in that shape, okay. On this shape here, okay, so this time I've got a 4-sided shape, so I've got 4 angles, okay. I've got 2 right angles, okay, 1 acute angle and then 1 obtuse angle, okay. And then finally on this shape, okay, so I've got a 6-sided shape, so I've got 6 angles, okay. So if I have a look here, so this is an obtuse, obtuse, right angle, obtuse, obtuse, right angle. So I've got no acute angles, 2 right angles and 4 obtuse angles. Okay, right, now it's your turn. So you can find a copy of this task sheet on the Learning PowerPoint for today. Okay, question number 1, okay, you'll need to look at the angles that I've given you, okay, and answer these 3 questions. Okay, number 2, okay, I've given you 6 different shapes. All I want you to do is mark the right angles, okay, so remember a right angle, okay, is like this. And then number 3, okay, it says here the letter E, okay, so a capital letter E has 4 right angles. How many other capital letters have 4 right angles, okay? So what might be useful here, okay, is if you write out the alphabet nice and clearly in capital letters, okay, or type it and then print it out, okay, and then see if you can investigate how many other capital letters have 4 right angles. See you tomorrow.
Hi Year 4, welcome back to day 3 of Fluent in 5. Today I thought I'd go Alice in Wonderland props, channeling the White Rabbit and the Queen of Hearts. So, today, again, 4 questions. 2 we'd like you to try using a written method, 2 using a formal method, but we're going to be a bit cheeky and not tell you which ones to do. So, A, we've got 473, add something is 1,382. B, 810 divided by 9, I should be using my star. C, 167 times 6, and D, 70 add 50. Please pause the video and have a go at the answers. Right, I'm going to put this down because this is not very useful for maths. So, A, that is a question that I would have used a written method for. So, let's have a go at working out the answer. So again, I've got a missing number. I know 473 add something is 1,382. So I'm going to have to use my inverse to help me with this one. So I'm going to have 1,382 subtract 473. I've been very careful here to make sure I've lined up my digits correctly because I've got 400, so it needs to be lined up under the 3. So I've got 2 1s, take away 3 1s. I haven't got enough 1s to do that, so I need to regroup one of my 10s for 10 1s. So now I've got 12 1s, take away 3 is 9 1s. 7 tens take away 7 tens is 0 tens. 300s take away 400s. I haven't got enough hundreds to take 4 away, so I need to regroup 1000 for 10 hundreds. So I've now got 13 tens take away 4 is 900s. So we can say that 473 add 909 is 1382. B, now this is a question that you might like to tackle mentally. So you might use something that you already know. So I know in my 9 times table it would take me a long time to try and get up to 810. But I know that 9 times 9 is 81, and 810 is just 10 times bigger. So I know that 9 times 90 would equal 810. So 810 divided by 9 is 90. C, then we've got 167 times 6. Again, that is a question I would use a written method for. So let's have a go at that. So 167 times 6. So 7 ones times 6 is 42 ones. So I'm going to regroup 40 of those for 4 tens. 6 tens times 6 is 36 tens. Add 4 is 40 tens. So I'm going to regroup all those 40 tens for 400s. 100 times 6 is 600. Add 400s is 10 hundreds. So I'm regrouping 10 my hundreds for 1000. And I haven't got any thousands to multiply by my 6, but I must remember my 1000 that I've regrouped. So the product of 167 times 6 is 1002. And then 70 add 50, I'm going to do that one mentally. So I know I've got 70 add 5 tens. So 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure you come back tomorrow.